Greg, in your note, you also detail how this probably hasn't gone the way that Vladimir Putin has expected thus far. The fight that Ukraine is putting up, the lack of support he's facing on the domestic front. How much longer can Putin pursue this and hold on?
I think for a while longer, Kailey, but I mean, there are two big humiliations for him. Number one, his army has not performed well. And there's a big piece in this morning's Washington Post quoting a lot of defense experts who were scathing. I mean, they ran out of food, they ran out of fuel, morale is terrible. They're not taking over these cities. And then you look back home in Moscow, and I think he has to know what all of your guests have been saying this morning. Russia faces not a recession. Russia is facing a depression.
So what does that mean in terms of domestic politics as you read it, Greg?
Well, in Russia, I think that, well, as the New York Times said today, the top general seems to be quite skeptical about even talking about a nuclear option. And I think a lot of people high up in Moscow might be thinking of trying to replace him. So I think his standing is a bit more tenuous. You know, maybe the war goes better for them in the next week or two, but I think that the patriots, the great Ukrainian patriots, have some momentum, and they're going to get a lot more arms in the next week or two.
What about domestically here in the U.S., Greg? With the State of the Union tomorrow, do you think that the American population is happy with the Biden administration and the job they have done on this issue so far?
No, they're not happy with Biden on anything. There's a poll yesterday in the Washington Post, 37% job approval rating. That's appalling for him. So he's got to have a great speech tomorrow, the State of the Union address. But on issue after issue, urban crime, immigration, inflation, it's not an easy stretch right now for Joe Biden.
How does this change domestic U.S. politics, do you think, Greg?
It could. I mean, I suppose you could say that signs that the Ukrainian patriots are prevailing could be a feel-good story for everyone, including Joe Biden. But if it doesn't, I think voters will continue to focus on things like crime and inflation. And that it's awfully hard to see that helping him. In fact, I would say that when you talk to people on Capitol Hill, their view is not only will the Republicans take the House, the issue is by how many seats? Could it be 30 or 35?
Greg, we only have about 30 seconds left, but so far the Biden administration has not sanctioned energy. Inflation has a factor to play there. Do you think they will make that move?
Yeah, that's a good question, Kailey. That's the last shoe to drop. And obviously in Western Europe, that would not be well received because they've been, blackmailed by the Russians. But that's not out of the question. And as Jen Psaki said yesterday, it is still an option.